Welcome back to Indie Faith Podcast. You're on episode 30. We're on episode 36, and you're here with Jules and Mary.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Kaz. How are you?
Yeah, good. I just noticed how long that countdown was before recording.
Yeah.
I thought it was from 3, 2, 1, but it's from 6.
And I was
like,
and then we just stared at each other like.
It's very awkward. How terrible is this weather?
I'm a winter baby, but this is not ideal. It's just too cold, and I keep getting sick, and my baby keeps getting sick, and everyone's getting sick. So I'm just, maybe not summertime, because summer here in Australia is just too bad. Maybe spring. Bring back spring.
Autumn.
Not too cold and not too hot. Somewhere in the middle, please. What about you, Kaz?
I used to love winter, but ever since having kids,
Yeah.
I would take on summer anytime.
Yeah.
I never ever thought I'd say that.
Same.
But yeah, I miss summer. Hate this weather. Yeah. All right. Before we start, I had a few shout outs that I wanted to do. So the first one is Manuscript Film. So their Sosifina movie is out. I seen it I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. I wrote a review on it. Check it out on our Indie Faith Instagram page. But yeah, definitely recommend it. Check it out on their website. I think it's www.manuscriptfilms.com. And then you can buy your tickets, and then you get the screening, pretty much the code, and then you can watch it on your laptop if you wanted. So yeah, props to them. They're doing so well as well. Yeah, so it was really awesome. I really, really enjoyed the movie.
I bought tickets and then I missed it. So I was like, I gotta buy the tickets again.
It's really good. And then the next shout out was Weaver. So he his film was screened, or is going to be screened, at the Taste of Pasifika Festival in New Zealand. So his short film Farm Boys is going to be screening on there. I think the organizer reached out, and yeah, so they're going to be showing it there if you're there. Yeah, enjoy it, and congrats to Weaver as well. And the last shout out I wanted to do was to Smoke and Mirrors. So and Weaver as well, Logo Bros, for the red carpet interview that they did last week for the Elvis premiere. That was so awesome. Yeah, that was really cool. I was a bit jealous, but I was proud.
I'm so happy, but oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, it was their first red carpet interview, and they did so well. So really proud of them. But yeah, if you also it's on their Smoke and Mirrors YouTube page if you want to check it out, or follow them on all social media. And yeah, that's our shout outs for today. So moving on to our pop topic, I came across this one. It was sent to one of our group chats, and then I was just so blown away by it. And then after that, I just kept seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
So it was about this Queensland mother living in Queensland, and she was sentenced to 9 months probation after pleading guilty to assaulting her son with a wooden spoon. So other accounts that I heard, she's lost custody of her 2 children as well because of this. So she was a mother of 2 kids, and one of them was the son that she assaulted with the wooden spoon. She in court, she said that she smacked her son after discovering he used her credit card to buy $600 worth of video games. and the magistrate in the court said, while he had been smacked as a child, the behavior was not acceptable. So, quote, unfortunately, society has moved on and that behavior isn't tolerated. So I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I wanted to get your thoughts, Cuz, about you know, what do you think about what's acceptable for like punishment for your children? Do you agree with, hitting your kid, or like other forms of discipline? Or are you against it?
I'm a bit on the fence, only because I am a child that was brought up with physical discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And I say it to my friends all the time. Like they a lot of them don't agree with
Yeah.
the way we were brought up and the way we were disciplined. And I get it, because sometimes, excessive force, especially on a child, is a bit much. Um, but I always try and explain, for me, it taught me a lot. I never
Yeah.
looked at it like it was abuse, because you know how when you tell Balangi friends or friends who aren't islanders, they're like, "That's abuse. Like you could call the police. Like they're not supposed to do. You have rights."
Yeah.
And I know it's not a laughing matter. That's not what I find funny. What I find funny is, I think as a kid, well, for me, I can't speak for all island kids, but for me, I remember the sort of hidings we would get, but it was to teach us not to do it again. I know there are different ways of disciplining your kid and getting them not to um, behave a certain way, and all that. But I never disliked, or like, obviously I get fali, I get frustrated that I got a hiding, but I never looked at it like I
Yeah.
didn't like my parents, or they're abusing me, or like this isn't right. That's one side of how I feel, because I'm a product of that sort of upbringing, and I'm sort of low key grateful for that,
Yeah.
because it taught me a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the world who, well, when I run into them, you can tell there was no sort of discipline in their lives, and that's why they're different.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying they're different. How they speak to people, um, how they are towards other people. Like sometimes they're quite rude, and everything like that. But my upbringing was very much taught, well, it was based on respect,
Yeah.
and I think that's. I'm not saying they're disrespectful. I'm just saying it taught me a lot about what I can say, what I can't do, what's appropriate, what's acceptable. So that's one side. The other side is I can't do that to my own kid.
Mm.
Um, like I can't use the sort of discipline tactics that my parents used on me
Yeah.
to my own child. I don't know why. Specifically, I think it's because I'm softer on my own kid than my parents were on us, and I can't bring myself to give her the sort of hidings I got as a child.
Yeah.
She does get disciplined, but it's nowhere near as consistent. So I think with Islanders, it was straight away, as soon as you do something wrong, you get smack.
Yeah.
Um, there's none of this, coming down to the kids' level, talking it out. There's none of that. Whereas with my own child, there's a lot more talk and a lot more discussions and a lot more, how can we change this, how can we fix this, what can I do as a mum to help you, so it doesn't happen again, like, I talk more to my kid than I smack. It's
Yeah.
very rare that I do smack her, but I don't think that mum in Brisbane should have gotten punished the way that she did.
Yeah.
That's just what do you think? Because like I know with your own kids, it's so hard to discipline them.
Yeah.
It's just really hard, especially because they're like, they're like us. They talk a lot. They have opinions. They have
Yeah.
they have their own way of doing things. So how do you find it in today's society when it comes to physical discipline?
It's hard, eh? Because like it's different times. For me, when I saw this when I saw this article, I was just like, I would do the same thing. Like $600, and she's a single mom. Like
Yeah.
$600 wasted on video games, and then like I'm assuming this kid called the cops, and that's why this whole thing escalated and went public. But like, I would beat the shit out of him. Like, I have not like exactly like you, like we went through it when we were younger. Like a smack here and there, I'm not against it. Like, there are times when, Brody gets a bit out of hand and then I'll have to smack him. But he like, I don't know, it's like a different breed, these kids
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
um, like for example, with us, right? If we get hit, we just like take it and then we're quiet and we just go in the room, cry it out, punch the air, whatever. Like we would never ever say anything back to our parents. But these days, like I'm finding when I smack Brody, he will say, "How dare you hit your child?" You know what I mean? Like I would never have dared to say that to like mom and dad.
Mm.
Um, there's just so different. Like even
Yeah.
looking at my own siblings, like the old, like for us, who got more hidings than the younger ones, um, we're a lot more respectful than the younger ones. Um, yeah, give or take, the mom and dad are a bit easier on the younger ones, but when they do get a hiding, it's like, you know, like it's so dramatized. I
Mm.
find, like
Mm.
over dramatized, and I don't know if it's because, these kids are growing up with the internet, so they're exposed to more information and, they're aware that like they can take actions as well
Mm.
against the parents.
Yeah.
They're aware that, it's wrong. Parents should not be touching, hitting their children. And so for them, like getting a hiding, it's like, you um it's like room for protest, if that
Mm.
makes sense, because everything now is a protest, you know what I mean? Like every
Yeah.
movement, like anything you're not happy with, it ends up being a movement, it ends up being a protest. And I think that these younger ones, like growing up, they feel like if something, rather than learning their lessons, they would act out, and protest something that they don't like. I don't know if that makes
Mm.
sense, but yeah.
No, that makes
um but like, yeah, it's different times and it's scary for parents as well, um
sense. Mm.
especially when the courts, like, you know don't kind of, like, they condone that kind of behavior, and then it kind of, like, you see it now, like, um yeah, they punish the parents, but then down the track, who's to say that that kid is not going to do something worse than that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because, like, he got punished for something, the court sort of like said, "Oh no, you're innocent. It's them." And then he's like, for him, he feels like he could get away with more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's
Yeah.
no,
It's not teaching them anything, really.
yeah, yeah. It's not like teaching him accountability. It's teaching him that he can get away with whatever. $600 is like not like,
No,
um,
it's a small amount.
yeah, especially for a single mom, which is sad.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just just off topic, like, oh, not really off topic, but yeah, I brought it up, Brody, because Brody heard about this as well, and I said, yeah, so if you call the cops, you won't be seeing me again. No PlayStation, no iPad,
Yeah. But it's
anything.
true.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
but
think that kid fully understands what's going to happen now. Like just because he did something that was wrong.
Yeah.
He got punished for it, and now it's escalated into something that's much bigger than, like, if he had just taken the hiding. I'm not saying I agree with the wooden spoon. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying take your punishments and then just learn from it, right? As opposed to it's gone really far now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because now, like, he's she's lost custody, so she apparently only gets visitation rights. This is
Wow.
according to one article, so I'm not 100% sure that this is accurate. But
Mm,
yeah, so she can only visit her kids, I think once a week, they were saying, and it had to be supervised.
yeah.
Yeah, so like, yeah, you're so right. Like, this kid doesn't realize he's just made it worse, and now he's not like going to be living with his mom. He's not going to really see his mom. He's probably going to be put in the system, and then ends up with a family that's probably worse.
Mm,
It's not black and white, that
mm,
area of disciplining your kids. This one, like, these kids I've seen, they're very resistant to any sort of authority.
yeah. Which makes it tough for us, because how are we supposed to prepare them for a world that's gonna give them heaps of no's? You're gonna get so many no's.
Exactly.
I'm like preparing you for the amount of
Yeah.
no's you're gonna get. You're not gonna get heaps of yeses. You're not gonna get that job. You're not gonna get that place like in the school that you want. You're not gonna. There's gonna be no's.
Yeah.
Like who better to learn from than your parents? We're just trying to help you.
All right. It's
Like
like that
help me, help you.
what it that Gandalf meme? You know that Gandalf
Mm,
meme? It's like
yeah.
where he's like, oh, what do you say? I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help you. You know, he's like full screaming at first, and then he's like, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to help you.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's so true because like a lot of times people might think that my methods are pretty harsh or
Yeah.
not too harsh, but like for me, I need to teach him real life. You know, like otherwise he is gonna get bullied at school. I don't know, like he's not gonna be able to operate the real world if we're always just like sort of spoiling them
Yeah.
and mollycoddling them.
Mm.
Actually, for anyone listening, let us know your thoughts as well. What do you think
That'd be great.
about, um, smacking your child? Do you think that that's an acceptable form of discipline or not?
Mm.
Yeah. Let us know in
Let
the
us know that.
comments. We're on social media. Yeah. All right. We'll move on to the main topic and I'll hand it over to you, Kaz.
Okay. I know we did a topic on events, but this is a little bit different. I think it's just our point of view on weddings, specifically island
Mm.
weddings. So Samoan weddings for us, and how we feel about it. What's our view on it? Why? Why a lot of us, in my mind, I just honestly, this is my honest opinion. I don't see a lot of us Samoans that are actually married. I hear about a lot of weddings, and
Mm.
I hear about a lot of engagements,
Me.
and I hear about yeah. So that's what I mean. So I think yeah. So I really wanted us to talk about it. I've had a few debates with other people about it. But yeah, Polynesian weddings.
Hmm.
So the first thing I want to ask you, Cuz, is why is it so difficult to figure out who to invite to a wedding?
I'm still trying to figure that out. I've been legit. I've been engaged. I, I have no idea. Probably over 5 years now, and I can never get
Yeah,
past.
I'm pretty.
I can never get past the guest list.
Yeah,
um.
legit. But that's like the first thing we figure out, and
Yeah.
for some reason we can't get through it. We
Yeah.
just can't.
It's the like. It's the first and probably biggest hurdle in wedding planning.
Mhm.
Um.
Mhm.
But I think that like for me personally, like I think I overcomplicate it. Um. I like Rob's pretty, and I think most men are. They're happy with anything. they'll go with anything. I think it's personally the bride and the parents. I would say that.
Mm.
The bride and the parents. I feel like with the with us, like it's well, especially the bride. It depends on whether she wants a big wedding or a small wedding. If she wants a big wedding, then sort of sifting through his family, my family, try to keep it balanced. And who to invite, who will get um who will get cut, how do you meet the numbers as well, and it
Mm-hmm.
depends on your budget as well.
Yeah.
um I think also with a lot of islanders, we're obliged to fulfill um what our parents want
Excuse me.
as well. So I find with a lot of, especially Samoan weddings, I find with a lot of Samoan weddings, it's the parents who choose who they want in the wedding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and like regardless of whether the bride doesn't even know these people, it's important to the parents, and they will, uh, to put it lightly, add add that little bit of pressure
Yeah. This
to
is
something.
mate.
Yeah. But I also find like um it's also the you know if your budget, for example, if your budget is small and you want a small wedding, then it's like who it's like you have to cut out a lot of people, and I think it's that fear of offending those people that you've cut out as well.
Yeah.
um hey, I think that, like, well, for me personally, I know that um uh I just want a small wedding. At the end of the day, like, I did at first want a big wedding, but then I was like thinking, like, after how many years of like just not getting through it, I was like, why do I have to have a big wedding? Like, why can't I just have a small wedding, small budget, and just invite like immediate family? But then, yeah, that was at one point the difficult part is like, if I don't invite these people, they'll get offended. But at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, like, I've gotten to that point where I really don't care.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so I think there's just so many factors of why it's so difficult to figure out who to invite. And I think there's also too
Yeah.
many say like too many people getting involved in who you should invite.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing that overcomplicates it.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think, like, for me, it could be simple by me just putting my foot down and saying, nope, this is who we want. That's it.
Yeah. I think that's the simple answer, but because of us, especially because we're Samoan girls and we're the eldest girls, um, we're sort of conditioned to please our parents.
Yeah.
Um, so it's really hard. Because I remember when I was engaged, it was very. I hadn't even gotten to the list,
Mm.
and I was already stressed. I was already like, because I'm pretty. To me, I'm very easy. I feel like we would have been very easy brides if we were Palangi brides. But because we're Samoan girls, it was very hard because then there was you got to invite this person. There's this person from overseas. They would have to come from overseas to stay here,
Mm.
and we have to arrange that. Like like those sorts of things, which adds more stress, and then it sort of makes you like not really that motivated to
Mm.
pursue it anymore because you're already thinking wedding expensive, but now you're taking into consideration everything else that comes with it. So if you're having family stay with you, like it's your wedding,
Yeah.
but there are instances where you have to pay for people to come. Um, I'm not saying it's all Samoan weddings. But I'm just saying you have to host people. You have to like, and they're not just going to stay for a couple of days. They might stay for even longer. So you have to like factor in taking care of them while they're here.
Mm.
Um, and I think that's what adds to the stress of planning a wedding. Because I've been involved in a lot of weddings, always a bridesmaid. Jokes. Um, but I've been involved in quite a few weddings, and the only thing I've learned from observing and being sort of in behind the scenes is that it is the most stressful thing I have ever witnessed in my life. Um,
And you're not even the
because the
bride.
bride is just, I'm not even the bride. I'm the one supporting the
Yeah.
bride, helping the bride, trying to be there for the bride. And I always feel, because I tend to feel what others feel because I'm an empath and just I don't know, but I can already see how stressful it is for the bride.
Yeah.
That yeah, so like you said, because this whole putting your foot down thing, it would be really easy for it would be an awesome solution, but I don't think it's what girls think about, especially Samoan girls, because we come from a family of not strict parents, but we what our parents think and what they say means something to us.
Mm.
So I think that's yeah, that's just what I think. I also had another question, sorry, cuz have you noticed? I don't know if this. I've been to a few Samoan weddings. But how come people don't go to the ceremony? Because I know on the invitations they'll be like, ceremonies here and then the reception's here.
Mm.
Samoan weddings, I've noticed that not many people go to the ceremony, but somehow they're all in attendance at the reception.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Um, I think there's two reasons. So the first reason is I think it's one, the reception has food and it's fun. That like ceremonies, like it can be boring. And you're just seeing them sort of exchange vows and which to a lot of people is boring. That's the boring part.
Mm,
So they want to skip the boring
mm,
part and get to the fun part.
yeah.
um, the second reason I think is also some people when they plan their weddings. I've noticed this. Like there's been a few weddings where I've noticed this, but the ceremony is so far away from the reception.
Mm,
Like there was one where like there's a ceremony down like south, and then
yeah.
the reception was all the way in the city, so it took like what an hour or not hour and a half just to get from the ceremony to the reception.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think it's like the receptions where all the food and the fun is. Also, um, to people just um lazy to drive to each
Especially
venue.
with the petrol prices. I get that. I
I
understand. Um, with those though, because like the whole boring part, I get that. I honestly get it's more formal. It's not where the party starts and everything like that. But I honestly, for me, being involved in weddings, I find it so disrespectful
Mm,
that you don't show up to the ceremony,
yeah,
but you rock up. And like I said, some weddings are different. Where on the invitations they'll only invite a specific amount of people to the ceremony because they want it to be more intimate and their loved ones, and then party with everyone at the reception. That's all good. But some ones don't do that. Some ones invite everyone to the ceremony, and then obviously they're hoping to see them at the reception. But a lot of the
yeah,
times I've noticed that the ceremony is quite small, not super small, but in comparison to the reception, it's a
yeah,
lot smaller than like the amount of people you see rock up to the reception. Because some islanders just rock up with not plus ones, but like plus seven.
yeah.
like
Yeah.
like
And
what are you
actually,
doing?
that adds to another reason why why the guest list is so difficult.
See, that's what I'm saying. I think that's right. It is because just. and I feel like the guest list also we say, +1 or you only, or it'll be specified. But
Mm.
sometimes islanders pretend they don't know how to read.
Yeah.
Because I went to another wedding years and years ago, and yeah, we were at the reception, and so many people rocked up to the reception. Like it was
Mm.
crazy. Like to the point of, um, it was an all-you-can-eat buffet type of venue, but they brought so many people that there was not enough seating.
Mm.
Bruv, what are you doing?
I know way. Like, I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I find with these days, like some Samoans are so rude, and
Mm-hmm.
like I've seen with my own eyes that people go to these functions legit just for that tray of food that you take home. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like, do you not have food at home? You know what I mean? Like, do you not have like fetching money to buy food for your
Mm-hmm.
family, but you got to bring them
Yeah.
to, a wedding so that you can feed them? Like, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And another thing I'm probably going to get a lot of hate over is there's a when you do weddings, uh, any sort of big functions, and you do anything Samoan, like, and it's you got to follow the Samoa tradition. I find a lot of I might be wrong, but I've witnessed this as well. That more Macais show up, and that's because they get something out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are some guys that show up and that weren't even invited. And
Legit.
because in our tradition, you know, any chief that's there, we have to give. We have to give to them, show them respect because they're high chiefs.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm finding that you know a lot of these Macais show up when no one invited them, and they get something out of it. They get money, they get food, they get um a lot of things from it. So I think there is that sort of shiftiness um, within the culture as well, um, especially within the Fasamo stuff. Like I already shared my thoughts on on that, but like yeah, like there are some people that I notice that do it for the money, do it for the food. Um, yeah, really. Um, yeah, yeah, that's it.
There's a lot of things I've noticed at a Samoan wedding compared to like a non-Samoan wedding that I don't like. Like
Yeah.
like I'm not saying, because I only just recently learned that the people you invite,
Mm.
this is a Palangi sort of point of view, the people you invite to the wedding are meant to, when they bring gifts, because it's obviously per head, like a certain amount per head, they are meant to sort of bring a gift or some sort of monetary gift to not compensate you for that, but like so that it can set you up. Because traditionally with weddings, the gifts and everything is to help you set up your new life with your husband, or wife or whatever.
Mm.
The gifts you get is to obviously help set that up, but it's meant to be equal, like even. So however
Mm.
much you spent on this wedding is how much of a sort of, I wouldn't say profit, but that's sort of why you invite guests. Not why you invite them, but that's they're meant to bring something um to gift to you. I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
was like, I knew we obviously give wedding gifts and whatever, but I think growing up and going to Samoan weddings, I don't see gifts. And if I do see money
Yeah.
stuff, I see the Samoa money side of the
Mm.
stuff. I don't see, anyone handing money to the bride or anything like that, or the groom, or any of those wishing wells, or um, I don't see a lot of that. And I'm not saying, I want a wedding to get gifts. I'm saying it in the sense of like, you don't bring anything, but you take.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm,
so like you didn't bring a gift, you brought your whole family who weren't invited. Um, but you're also like, we're also giving you money back for attending. And I think
mm,
that's what's put a lot of islanders off even having weddings. Because, like I said,
mm,
um, which brings me to my next question. I know islanders are very traditional and very, you're supposed to move in with your partner, have a child after you get married. That's like the typical do it that's the right way. Um, that's how it's supposed to be. Kind of that's what we're taught. But
yeah.
the only thing I've noticed growing up is that most of the Samoans I know, or islanders, they live with their partners and have children, but they're not married.
Mm.
So what does that say?
um, I think just to touch on your last point about the the people who come in and take but don't give with the presents. I think um with Samoans who marry Samoans, you kind of already are set up to have a Fasamo wedding. You know what I mean? Um, and there are things in within that tradition where it's those important people that have to get something back. Like,
Mm,
but I think that's where that's where I struggle. Like, because if like I think at first you need to really determine whether you're gonna have a Samoan wedding or you're gonna have a Palangi wedding.
mm,
Um, and make clear that you're gonna do a Palangi wedding if you are. Um, but then at the same time, it goes back to your guest list. You gotta make
mm,
sure you don't have any Mackays in that list. You know what I mean? If you want to keep it like because if like I know everybody wants that, that big celebration, the good parts of a Samoan wedding, but don't want to do the things that come with a Samoan wedding. You know what I mean? Like you have to accept that if you're going to do it that way, then you have to put up with that. Um, and it is within the Fasamo tradition that we have to give
mm.
to you know, these prominent figures in your guest list.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one point, and the other one is that oh no, it's slipping away. It's slipping away.
No, no.
um, but yeah, that's like I got told that as well. That like basically if I want anything Samoan in my wedding, then I've got to go and do it the Fasamo way, and
But
that's
no
like
way. Can't have a bit of
yeah,
this and a bit of that. Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Is that what
Especially
Uncle
if
said?
you have a Makai, sorry,
Is that what Uncle said? Like your dad?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if I wanna if like if I would choose to do a Palangi wedding, which is I think a little bit of a benefit for me because I am not with a Samoan. But obviously, if you are with a Samoan, you're like it's a done deal. You have to do a Samoan wedding, unless you go overseas and get married and
Yeah, you elope.
you're away from family. You go elope somewhere.
Sorry.
um, that's it. The other thing is with the I know with Samoan weddings as well, the family pays as well. They contribute. There's a certain I can't remember what it is, but in the Fasamo way, it's the bride that organizes. I'm not too sure, so I won't say. But there's a certain thing that they organize, and then the groom's family has to. There's a certain thing that they have to organize for the wedding. So I
Okay.
think there's the siapo and food, and then on the other side is money. I don't remember which one is money and which one's
Yeah.
the that stuff. Um, so apparently when that happens, it's pretty much open to all of these people to be involved in your wedding. Do you know what I mean? So the other thing for me is like there's probably another reason why I haven't gotten married yet is because I would rather pay for everything myself and not accept like for me I choose to do a barley wedding just so I don't have to deal with that. So like for me, I will self-fund my own wedding so that I don't have to have any of those complications or too many people getting involved. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. That's just like how I think it would be a lot easier if you are having all these, worries about the Fasamoa way. Yeah, like I don't. You can't. You gotta accept the faults if you want to do it a certain way. And these days, I know, like, in a perfect world, I wish I could have a Samoan wedding without the Fasamoa. But it's not going to happen. It's a tradition. It's been part of our family, part of our parents' lives, our grandparents' lives, all of it. It's just a given when you do a Samoan wedding. But yeah, so that's just my thoughts around the point you made about presents and for them. Yeah, I think there's also a pattern as well. You know how I said that the bride's family organize something and then the groom's family, there's a certain thing that they organize. I'm not too sure who does the money and who does the other stuff. But I think that goes with presents as well. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that also is also with presents. I think
Yeah.
some give money and the others something else.
Yeah.
And then you have those who just give nothing at all. All right, so back on the your question, Cuz, about the partners being together out of wedlock, and they have kids. I'm one of those. Like
Same.
I think times have just changed. I think back in the day you had couples that were together and the only way that they could live together was to get married. So I think marriage was a big thing back then. And also, like, I think a lot of Samoans went that route as well, where the families paid for everything. Obviously, you pay as well, but like the parents provided, both families provided a lot, contributed a lot to the wedding as well. Whereas
Yeah.
now, I think we have shifted where it's like, well, one, it's a lot more expensive. Two, I think our learnings from weddings in the past has sort of opted us to want to do things more modern, want to do things more our way, and I think we're slowly sort of drifting away from that. But unfortunately, the biggest thing is the amount, like the price of it. For me personally, it's the money. Trying to get the money to have a wedding is really, really hard. And also, it's my priorities. Like I didn't plan on, and I think for most of us, did not plan to have kids. It just happened. And I think that's with most cases. And like now, rather than well, because now we have kids, so for me, I could not wait to get married first and then move in, because it requires money and I need money to feed the kids. You know what I mean? Like it's so hard. So I've moved in with my partner, and then now I think we've been living together for 7 years, going on 8, and still not married. But definitely, looking like would love to get married one day, but for us it's the money. Like, and I don't want to, and I think this is a lot of our culture now as well, we don't want to put that pressure on our parents as well. So, like,
Yeah.
I know back in the day, like, I know my parents' wedding was also funded by or contributed heavily by the both families. I don't want to do that to my parents because I don't want to put them through that stress as well.
Mm.
Like, yeah, if like dad has always said that he wants to contribute to the wedding, and he wants, he would love to pay for it, but like I would accept what he can give, but I don't want to, put that much pressure on my parents. They're getting old. Like I don't want them worrying about my
Mm.
wedding, you know what I mean? So there's also that factor
Yeah.
as well. Um, but yeah, I think previous generations were I think different times, different economies as well. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, uh, that's no, that's my thoughts on it. What about you, Cuz?
No, thanks, cuz. I sort of agree, but I'm also like I'm a bit of a princess, so like for me, I look at it like whatever money I can get, man, help me
Yeah.
out. Like I'm not saying give me all your money. I'm just saying I think growing up in a tight knit family and a close community, I'm not saying I'm gonna ask everyone for money. I'm just saying it if they can help, they can help. But it's not an expectation that I have where I need them to fork out a specific amount because like you said, it's so expensive. Like another thing I've noticed with different weddings that I've attended is you can tell, man, you can tell how much a wedding costs just by being there. So I've seen, you know, weddings where I know it was really just super
Mm,
expensive, super expensive, and that's fine. Like if they have the means, then why not? That's their wedding day. That's their special day. They
yeah.
can go for it. Um, but I think, like you said, with priorities, having a wedding was. I know it's every girl's dream to get married and have this massive wedding, but that wasn't one of my
Mm,
priorities growing up. Mine was like my goal is to eventually
yeah.
buy a house. It's not going to happen anytime soon. I can accept that, but I'd rather invest into something like that um, because it's going to be there for life kind of thing. I know your wedding day is super special. You only get one, but it can still be special without spending so
Mm,
much money. Like I don't care about flowers. I don't care about napkins. I don't care about like this. I just don't care about the type of chair or like centerpieces. I don't care about that stuff um, because it's not. If I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not going to remember
mm,
that. Like on my wedding day, I'm not going to remember those little details. Maybe another bride will. That's cool. But I know
yeah.
I wouldn't. I'd rather have a home, set it up for my kid. Um, and I think like you said, it's just too expensive. Um,
Mm,
like I'd rather put money towards something else. That's
yeah.
all. Um, than spend massive amounts on a wedding. Um, but you will see. Like you never know what could happen. Like in the future. As I said, I am a princess, so if my family were willing to help, I would accept it. Because I know we're very proud, us especially us girls. We're very
Mm,
proud where we
yeah.
don't want help. But I think what I'm learning is it's okay to accept help sometimes.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
And if my family wanted to help in their own way, then yeah, by all means, I would be very grateful. Because like I said, because I've seen other weddings where if you guys probably think I all I do is go to weddings. The wedding expert over here now. But I've been to I've seen things behind the scenes. I've observed things where sometimes Mackays or chiefs will do it privately
Mm,
in their own time leading up to the wedding. They'll go to the bride's house and give them money for their wedding, help out. They don't expect anything. They just there to be like it's your special day. Here's a little something to help because we know how it can be. And they didn't want to make it a big deal at the actual event because you know how sometimes with Samoa stuff, it's such a massive deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some like to do it privately. I think that's awesome. Um, but money is just such a when it comes to a Samoan wedding, it is. It's the guest list, the money, the food.
Mm.
But this whole not getting married and moving out thing, like you said, times have changed. I keep going back and forth, but
Oh yeah, I do that
I
all the
feel
time.
like yeah, I feel like you need to get to know the person that you're living with. Like, if you're gonna marry them, it would be nice to get to know them, like live with them, see what it's like. Um, yeah, because how do you know it's gonna work out? I'm not saying aren't gonna work out. I'm just saying it would help
Mm.
to see, if it can work that you move in together. Like when Brooklyn gets married, I'm hoping that, she does things differently to me, obviously, but I also want her to experience a lot more and do a lot more.
Yeah.
So if she like decides she comes to me, she's like, "Mom, I'm seeing someone." I'd be like, "Yeah, cool." And then like, later down the track, she comes and she tells me, "Oh, we're thinking about moving in together." I would have no issues with that.
Yeah.
Not like back in the day where our mums like, "Excuse me, you're supposed to get married. If you don't get married, you take off to another country." I feel like those are the only two ways you can avoid marriage is if you well, not avoid it, but like I think the only thing is you get pregnant or
Mm.
you move to another country and then like your parents obviously can't do anything after it's happened, like what's done is done kind of thing. Um, but I don't want that for my own kid. I want her to figure it out, do what's best for her, move in if she wants to. If she wants to get married, get married. If she
Yeah.
doesn't and she has a kid, it's fine. It's as long as she's not hurting anybody, it's fine. But I also don't want her to feel so much pressure because it's already enough pressure. Getting married is very stressful. It's a stressful time, but you still want them to like savor the moments, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's just what I think. Hey, Kaz, another question before we wrap it up. What does Rob think about Samoan weddings, Samoan traditions? What was his like? I know you guys have been together for ages,
Mm.
and when you would discuss your wedding plans, what were his thoughts?
Um, Preferably he wanted something small. Like Rob's never. Well, we're both kind of that way as well, where we don't want the attention,
Yeah,
and I think that's another
so like,
reason why we've shied away from having a wedding.
mm,
But he's he is happy with whatever is important to me, and that's what I
yeah,
meant in the beginning when we were talking about this topic, is that most guys, they just want whatever makes the woman happy. They're fine with it. They're just like, yeah, cool, plan it, do whatever you want, like I will be there to support you. um
yeah,
so I think, yeah, he's, if it's important to me, then he's happy to do the Fasamo way. um
yeah,
Whereas for me, I just um I'm trying to keep it drama free. And
mm,
for me, like, as much as I would love to accept, help from other people, that there's a part of me as well, and I'm like this with everything I do, like in every
yeah,
other aspect. The reason why a lot of times I don't accept help is because I don't want to accept that added um stress. Do you know
mm,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
I find that, like, if I was, like, not that I say that, my siblings will, or my family will, like, sort of stress me out. It's just my sort of presumption, so I try and prevent that from happening without knowing that it's going
yeah,
to happen. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather pay for everything so that there's only one say, and that's mine, and that's because I'm the one
Yeah.
paying for it. Whereas I find if other people like have a contribution, like give contribution, it allows them to contribute in different areas as well that I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. In
Um,
their minds, they're not just giving, they're gonna give you other opinions as well,
yeah.
and you don't want to avoid that. That makes sense.
Um, the other thing I wanted to point out is when I was mentioning different times as well. I find that our parents and our grandparents, or the times that they grew up in, those generations were heavily run by religion, um,
Mm,
especially the Christian religion, and our parents sort of um, blinded faith in that, if that makes sense.
mm, mm.
So back then, in like society as a general, um, it was important to get married first. That's what that was. It was almost like a rule: married first, then move out, then have kids. Blah blah blah. Like there were so many high morals back then, that everybody had to follow. Religious morals, cultural morals, that you kind of had to go by. But now I find that that's kind of died off. And it's because, it may have started with like just a few people who had kids out of wedlock. And then, you know, over time, that's kind of been the most common thing now. You know what I mean? Um, and now it's just so normal. It's normal to move in. Whereas back at like, our parents' days, they look at it like, no, that's unacceptable. But
Yeah.
us growing up, we've seen so many, other families who have kids without, out of wedlock. So
Mm,
it's normal for us. So I find that, that for me, that sort of, and then like that sort of play ties into your priorities as well. So like looking at our parents and our grandparents, if they wanted to move out of the house, they have to get married first. So it was a rush to get married and move out and then have kids, and well, kids just
yeah.
happen. But like now, oh, so yeah, so it was for a woman, it was so exciting to have that big day, because that also, it wasn't just the big day of your wedding, it also meant that you are starting a new chapter in your life when you're actually moving in with this person that you've been in a
Mm,
relationship with, but you've never, like, now you get to make your own start, you know what I mean? Whereas
yeah.
now I find we're already making that start before we get married. So marriage isn't a priority anymore to us, because it's like, well, we're
Mhm.
already living together. We already have kids together. So what's a big day going to do? You know what I mean? It's just, and I
Yeah.
find that mentality with our generations that it's just a piece of paper. Like,
Yeah.
we're pretty much married anyway. What's that paper going to do? It's just costing us, that paper is going to cost us $60,000. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
and so I think that kind of social change as well, and in our culture, and in like um, Western society as well, it's kind of bled into our cultural traditions,
Yeah.
and I find that like it's just a lot easier. And now for me, like, I exactly what you said, like my priorities now, it's like if I have the money to do a wedding, I'm like, that's like, for example, like, some um mutual friend had a wedding for 60,000. I was like, 60,000, that could be like a deposit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like for me, I'm like, why would I want a wedding that, like,
Yeah.
when I can have a deposit for a house that I can use for a kid, for my
Yeah.
kids or for my future, or investment property, you know what I mean? That'll give me more in return than my wedding, where I'm
Yeah.
already living with this guy. You know what I mean? It's not like it's going to be the first time. Oh wow, we get to sleep in the same bed.
With your two kids.
All those what do you call it, back in the ancient days where they're like, consummate their marriage after. You know what I mean? Like, we're all doing it straight out of high school, even in high
Yeah.
school. Like, it is
Yeah.
nothing new. So why there the other thing is why there's a big priority, like especially women, I don't understand, is the pressure to get married. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But it's all like, to be honest, this is like my personal opinion, but marriage, mostly, not all, like there are, like, I'm just saying in general, there are some that the big day is legit just for attention. And like, you're already living with your partner, you already have kids, so like that pressure to get married is legit just because that big day, like you said, you want that big day, and that big day is like, is a celebration of what you know what I mean.
Mm.
um Probably not even the groom himself.
Yeah.
It's like,
He
um
would be asleep. No one would notice.
yeah. It's like legit, like, am I wrong though, like, that it's the day is about the bride. um yeah.
Yeah.
Probably gonna get a lot of bridezillas after me.
That's fine. I
But,
haven't. I don't think I've experienced any bridezillas. Just a lot of stress.
yeah, I didn't even know where that term came from.
I'm
Was
pretty
it
sure
a
it was the
show?
stress. Yeah.
Oh.
But see, they were actual bridezillas. I was like, oh my gosh, relax, girlfriend. Like, it had to be staged. Sometimes I'd watch it, I'm like, this has to be scripted. This doesn't seem normal.
Yeah. um but yeah, like, that's why I'm still not married. It's because I legit, when I see that money, I'd rather like put it on something that'll benefit my family and especially
Yeah.
my kids, rather
Yeah.
than on a day that's just gonna celebrate me as a bride.
Yeah.
I don't care. I really don't care. I know that, like, I think the shift in religion as well in society, it's not as important anymore. Um, to most people, but yeah, there are, like, some people who hold true to those traditions, and I'm not shitting on any of them. Like, it's a beautiful thing if you want to get married, especially, like, be united in the eyes of God, as they say. Like, yeah, cool, that's beautiful. I'm not shitting on you for that. I'm just like saying that these days it's just not a priority anymore.
Mm.
It's not important.
I think I love the idea of a wedding and a marriage and everything. Maybe one day, but it's like you said, we're not in any rush.
Mm.
What's the rush?
I know. I'm like in my mid-30s, and
No rush. Like, I
I
just think, society's made us feel like we have to get married, we have to have kids, we have to do this. But I'm like, I don't have to do anything.
yeah. Well, like, most of it is just pressure from your parents, pressure to, get married um because of religion. But like, I just, I don't know. I don't see such a big deal in having a wedding. Like, down the track, I'd love to um you know call him my husband. Like, I think that's, one thing that I would be excited for, is to take on his name and to finally share the same last name as my kids.
Yeah.
um, but like, honestly, I wish there was, like, a Vegas, where you go, get
Yeah.
married, come back out. Like, I wish they had that here. Like, I would
Yeah.
love to just go sign a paper, don't have to spend money on, a big wedding,
Mm.
and just say, come out and we're married.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean everyone's different. Like I can understand the um you know that's a lot of girls dream about being, like the princess, the have having that big day so that, they can feel special. But personally I don't need it. I need the money, but I don't need the attention.
I need the money.
um
I feel like we all need the money.
what is your since we're on the topic, what is your ideal wedding?
My ideal wedding. That's a good question. I am super easy in the sense of like I just wanted it small. And I don't mean small like I know our idea of small might be big to other people, but I just mean the people that I see more than I do with other people, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So like, obviously your loved ones, your close cousins, your closest friends. Yeah. Yeah. I'd like something small, intimate. I have this weird thing with lights. I like lights, the like I'm picturing a nighttime theme with lights. That's it. Like
Yeah.
food, I wouldn't even care about the food. We could have those like those stands, or they just make easy food. Food that's yum. Like you could have island food, you could have like a little sushi stand, the little hamburger things, and hot chips. I'm so simple where I'm easy like when it comes to the food stuff because it's just small, intimate with the ones I love. Because when you think about it, it's literally not even a full day. It's just
Mm.
it's hours of of celebrating, which is fine. I'm good with that. Ideally it would just be small with the ones I love, good food, and not super super massive and super expensive. Like I don't need all the flowers. I'm not like I like flowers, but I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, I'm so glad on my wedding day I spent like 10K on flowers.
But if you were, say, if money wasn't a factor, if you were to indulge that fantasy, what is your like ultimate dream wedding?
Mine would probably be a destination wedding. Like if
Mm.
money wasn't an issue, it would be a destination wedding, still intimate, still small, but only those that I like obviously see all the time, talk to all the time. We'd all fly over there and just party on a beach. That
Oh
would
man,
that would just be it. Party on the beach
would
and
it be a wedding on the beach?
yeah. So
Ooh.
I do it all together. I don't like because, like you said, because the whole reception at one spot, ceremony at another spot, and it's my
Mm.
mile as. Why is it so far?
Yeah.
I get it. I understand because you might really love the ceremony at this venue, but the reception would look so much better here. That's all good. I've
Yeah.
been to so many weddings where that's the go, it's the norm. But for me, if I'm already at the beach, I've already said my vows, told the man I loved him, I do. Now we can party on that side. Walk to the table on that
Oh
side.
man.
Just like scoot over and just sit down. The lights. I'm good. That's I'm done. What about you, cuz? If money wasn't an issue, what would your dream wedding be like? Or ideal wedding?
Mm. Um, I would agree. A destination wedding, but more I would love like to book out like just a whole estate,
Yeah.
a private estate, and
Mhm.
then just have, close family on both sides sort of stay there, have the also accommodation for them as well.
Yeah.
Just more a tight knit thing that, it's more of a holiday for the family than it is a wedding kind of
Yeah.
thing. Um, yeah, that would be cool. Like I would love like a out in the country somewhere, some massive estate that just
That'd be
has
so cool.
everything.
That was so bad. I'm full picturing it now.
Yeah. No.
Just do it.
And then I wake up.
Next to your man. You're like, ah, yeah, we're married. Now that'll be
But yeah, but to be honest, like I just planning the wedding, I'm the same. I would love just a small intimate one. There was one point, like for me, my cheapest option is to get married at a church, because Rob's Catholic. So we get married in a church and then just have like not even have a reception. I was just thinking of like a backyard barbecue. That's it.
that's mad. You kind
Like
of like
nothing
it though.
formal, no speeches.
Yeah,
It's just like a normal house party kind of thing. Just
yeah.
everyone getting together.
That'd be mad.
That's the cheapest option.
One
Because
day.
we're like that. Like I don't want attention. Um, like
You don't
I'd
need
love to get married just so that I can have his name. You
Yeah,
know. But other than that, like I don't like yeah. I don't want too many people, and I don't like being center of attention. I hate that pressure. I hate
yeah. You're
having to do
definitely shy.
speeches.
You like to be just
Yeah.
in the background. You don't like being center of attention, which is a good thing.
Mm.
Whereas I'm
Am I-
I'm good. I want to be the attention.
Yeah, Rob's the same as well.
Yeah,
He's very introverted in that sense as well. Just wants a small, intimate. He basically does nothing really.
yeah.
um, there was one time I was like, you know what? I'm so sick of trying to plan the wedding, and then I was like, maybe you plan it. Have you ever seen a wedding where the groom does all the planning and the bride does nothing?
I think I've only seen it on that show where that
Oh,
show where they used to have where the dude does everything and the bride has no say. So come the day,
oh,
yeah, come the day, she's everything's a surprise to her.
oh, wow. Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, but then I know I'll be just shitty at everything.
Yeah, that's exactly what the brides were in the show.
Yeah,
Like, you even know
because
this?
I was legit. I was getting so sick of trying to plan that I was just gonna be like, nah, you know what, you can plan it.
Yeah,
And then I was like thinking in my head, oh no, I'm gonna hate everything.
you don't plan anything.
Yeah, and on that note, was there anything else you wanted to get off your chest about weddings?
Um,
Oh, you know what? I just thought about it now. Another indication where you know that they had problems with the guest list is look at the line, the bridal the what do you call it? The bridal party. You can tell they were not they were not bold enough to cut out some people. Swear,
that's fine.
some of those
Fine.
weddings. You also know that the family had a huge part in in that too.
Legit.
When you see 20 people in the 20
I've
bridesmaids
never
and 20 groomsmen,
God, holy God.
there's more in the bridal party than in the actual
This is
crowd.
no, it's an island wedding when it's not just the main table; they have another row in front. Okay, you sit down on top, and then in front of them at the bottom is another row. And then the wedding cake, it's like 20,000 tears. They're all connected. I was like, we're just bitter. We're so bitter.
Where's the lie though? Where's the lie? So you have like 3 tiers. The flower girl sitting on the floor.
But it's so sad.
That's what I never understood. Like why there are some weddings that have, on the stage, those the 2 tiers of your bridal party, right? And then you have the stage and then you have the crowd. There was one wedding I went to where when we have items
Yeah.
where the performers come out and they perform to the bridal party, people all watching their backs. But then, like, some people, they'll perform
Excuse me.
to, the guests, and then the bridal party sees the back.
Mm.
And then there are some where now they'll sit there for most of the event, and then when it comes to performances, they all have to come and sit down
Yeah.
in the front by the. There's just too many. There's
Too much
musical chairs. Oh, there was one that I think experienced that same issue, so they performed sideways. It's hard because, like, when you're performing, you don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, it's only recently that I think people started problem solving that, and now they just got the bridal party come sit on the floor,
Yeah.
so they can see it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Samoan weddings. It is what it is.
Yeah. But you know what? The beauty of the best part about island weddings is the
I
performances as
agree.
well, like the items and that I think that it's rubbed off on other cultures. Have you noticed that they're starting to do like dances and stuff as well?
That's true. But I feel like with some cultures,
Yeah.
mainly like brown cultures, I feel like we've always done that. Oh yeah, they do it at Palangi weddings sometimes now. They get
Yeah.
performers come and perform. And some of them, like I went to a Palangi wedding, well it wasn't Palangi, but it wasn't a Samoan wedding, but they brought those Siva Afi guys, the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like other island performances. And it wasn't even an islander wedding. It was just, I think because they just love the performances. They hired out some performers to come perform at the actual wedding, and I was like, oh my gosh, I look like them.
Yeah. I legit reckon we were the first ones to do it.
I'm good with that.
The items.
I would say that. I haven't seen it anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, like, now you see on TikTok, like, even the like the groom's party will do a dance,
Yeah.
and then the bride party and their balangis.
I love
And
that.
it's like, we did that first.
It's like, yeah, we did.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, yeah. Would you priest or no priest? Oh, what are your thoughts on celebrants? Sorry.
I don't mind celebrants because I'm gonna admit, like, I have my own spiritual relationship with God, in my opinion. It's not what others might have, like going to the actual church and everything like that, which is all good. But I just feel like I have my own way of doing it, and it works for me. But I don't mind celebrants. Celebrants are fine. I would even love if like my family member was a celebrant for me. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind if like one of my brothers or sisters or cousins, anyone, opted for that. They were like, "Oh, can I do it?" And I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, yes." I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Because I think because they know me.
You get a license on the internet.
Yeah. So I wouldn't mind that. Obviously, it would depend on the guy if they're all right with that too. But I wouldn't mind a celebrant. I wouldn't mind a priest. I just feel like I wouldn't have a priest only because I don't go to local so much and stuff. I would feel like I'm being a bit disrespectful because I'm like, well, yeah. So that's probably why I wouldn't have a priest. But yeah, I don't mind a celebrant. What about you, cuz?
Yeah, same. I'm definitely going with the celebrant.
I like funny ones.
Like you said, I don't go to church. Rob doesn't go to church. And even though his family does, like, I wouldn't even feel respectful to sort of like, I don't go to your church, or he doesn't go to church, and now all of a sudden, can you be my can you officiate our wedding?
Strange man.
Plus, I'm not really I haven't been, and I think that's another challenge, is I haven't thought about converting.
Yes.
Yeah. Religion is it's a very complicated area that I'm still trying to figure out.
Fair enough.
Which might be good for another topic.
That would be a good topic.
But yeah. 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 All right, I'll end it there because
Okay.
yeah. For anybody out there, if you have any thoughts, if there were, disagreed with some of the stuff that we said, yeah, definitely leave it in the comments. Like, we're open to anything, any feedback. Let us know how, if you got married and how your wedding was, what was the ups and downs, or if it went smoothly. Would love to hear
Yeah.
that. And yeah, especially if it was like a Samoan wedding and it was just like perfect. Yeah, please give us some tips.
Please, no, I need to know.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. Did you want to add anything else,
No, I'm
Cuz?
good, thanks, cuz. Thank you for letting me vent a little bit.
Hey, we're open for all of that. Thank you so much for the topic as well. It was pretty awesome. I had fun talking about
Oh,
marriage.
fun too.
Yeah. All right. Take care, stay safe, and we will see you in the next episode.